Happy Wednesday, happy reading day. Hi, everybody. Thank you for sending rain energy to California. We need it. We need it so much. Hi. Hey, everybody. I'm delayed today because my team needed help, and while I normally don't take calls on class day, I really had to help them. So I thank you for your patience. I'm a lot of things to a lot of different people, and you guys are always the priority on Wednesday, but today, between the kids in school and my staff needing help, I was stretched in a couple of different directions. So I take you very seriously. I take our time together very seriously. I will still, of course, give you your whole hour. We're just starting a little bit late, so I'm going to shave some time off of my class prep for this afternoon to make up for it so that you get your full hour of readings. Yeah. Now, I have 3 full-time jobs right now. I am helping my kids through school because they're having challenges. I am helping to manage a construction process and get our team moved. And then I'm running Sage Goddess. So I'm a little stretched thin. But we'll be all moved in by the end of October, so that'll be a little bit easier. And my kids will eventually learn how to do school. And then there's us. And then sometime in the middle of the night, I take a breath. It's been challenging these last couple of months. But I will never complain, because no matter how challenged I am, I know that there are other people who have bigger challenges than I do. So I try not to complain and just focus on how lucky I am that I have kids and I get to help them with school, and that I have Sage Goddess and I get to help my team, and that we have a new building and I get to manage that. I mean, sometimes when you look at the challenges in your life and you have to realize that they're also blessings. It's really true. I never thought I would be doing as much as I'm doing right now, or living through a pandemic. But 2020 has certainly had its share of surprises. So thank you for your patience. I know some people get frustrated if the schedule changes at all, so I try to be really, really mindful of that. I really, really do. And my team would tell you, I tell them, no, you have to move that to a different day because that's class day. So I really do hold this time sacred. The good news is very little is going to change about our experience together. Our class is going to have a new curriculum, but I'm really happy to tell you that class prices are not changing in 2021, even though our expenses have gone up, and I want to be able to give our staff raises and things like that. We have decided to leave our program tuition at the same price for 2021 because we're in a pandemic. So if you are starting to prepare for next year's programs, the cost of programs will be the same. The cost of the Crystal Masters tools is going to increase slightly because we just can't get anything for $20. We've tried, so they're probably going to go up to about $30 a month. The Soul Shift tools will stay the same. The Soul Shift tuition is staying the same. The Crystal Masters tuition is staying the same, and I think the Crystal Masters tools are going up by $10. That's the minimum we would be able to do and keep things running. So I hope we're trying really hard to keep everything as close to the same as we can for next year, because we know everybody's going through a hard time. So if you're planning on being in programs next year, I don't have any big surprises for you this year, which is kind of nice. Yeah, it's kind of nice. I'm grateful that we can do it for you without raising the prices. That's a good piece of information. Okay, so this is our live readings. And I just burned a little bit of white sage for us. I'm going to be using a new oracle deck today. There's a little leaf in there that doesn't want to go out. Hold on, let me get her. You have to go out. She's such an intelligent plant. There she is. That's the one little leaf that didn't want to go out. Yeah, I don't know how we did the Crystal Masters tools this year either, but we wouldn't be able to do them next year, so I'm really happy to be with you guys today. I'm going to be teaching from home until at least January. Forgive me. I took my cold medicine today, but I'm still kind of sick. I imagine that I'll be teaching in the new building probably a year from now. Isn't that crazy? I'm so glad you guys are receiving your orders and it's making you happy. That makes me really happy too. Okay, so this is the deck for today. I thought this was really good. This is a new deck for me, I'll tell you. I bought it for us. I wanted something kind of new. And I was thinking this would be a good deck for the full moon. Because, you know, you want to work with power words and affirmations at the full moon. That's when you have, you know, the biggest burst of energy. I want to remind you, especially if you're new, that the full moon worksheet is available for you at sagegoddess.com. This is free to download. It's an additional worksheet on top of your soul shift worksheet. So if you want a worksheet specifically for tomorrow's full moon in Aries, it's a butt kicker of a full moon tomorrow. And then that worksheet is there for you at sagegoddess.com. Thank you. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad. And I know, you know, my goal for next year is anybody who's in programs this year, if you want to stay, my goal is that you'll be able to stay. And I knew that if we raised tuition, that would make it impossible for some of you. So so we're making some cuts and some sacrifices on our side to make sure that we can keep the tuition prices the same. Yep. Okay, so let's dive right in. I want to ask my spirit guides to come closer and help me be a good, clear, and open channel for wisdom and information that wants to come through. Asking that any wisdom and information that comes through is in service of the highest good of the one who will receive it. Asking for messages to be expressed in a clear way, and we give thanks for wisdom and insight already on the way to us today. Amen, aho, and so it is. Okay. Let's see. I'll go back up in the feed here. Luna Logan, it's her birthday today. Let's begin with a birthday reading, shall we? These are going to be kind of quick readings like last time, unless Spirit tells me I need to focus, which sometimes Spirit does. So Luna, 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 happy birthday to you, darling. Doing a lot of reflecting on what I need to focus on for year 27. You're heading toward your Saturn return. It's the most exciting time of our lives. It's when the universe really puts things into motion on your behalf. It's such a powerful, powerful time. So Luna, 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 a birthday reading for the year ahead. What a great card. Your affirmation is abundance. And it says, I attract abundance into my life each day from all possibilities and directions, including, let's see what the booklet says, since I'm new to this deck by Sean Gibson. It says, oh, it doesn't have notes for each card. Well, that's interesting. Let's see. Okay. Well, you're supposed to fill in the blanks. So it says, I attract abundance into my life each day from all possibilities and directions, including. So where are you calling in abundance is the question that this card is asking. From what directions, what sources? One of the most important lessons I ever learned about abundance was from one of my early teachers, who said, always, when you're asking for abundance, this is probably good for the collective to know, you should always ask that abundance comes to you from sources seen and unseen. But you have to remember that sometimes the universe can take from sources that you don't want them to take from in order to provide abundance if you just ask for abundance. So I always ask for abundance to come from sources seen and unseen, but only from sources that are able to give that abundance freely. Right? Any abundance that comes to you should come to you freely. Just like love should come to you freely. Magic should come to you freely. The concept of free will is so important because anything that comes to you that isn't free, isn't coming to you freely, can create its own form of bondage for you, which isn't what you want. Ultimately, you want your abundance to create freedom for you, right? So Luna, what I'm getting for you is you need to create abundance in this next cycle. As Saturn turns, right? Saturn makes that full rotation every 27 to 29 years. As Saturn makes its next rotation, you're going to be learning a lot of life lessons. That's what ages 27 to 30 are all about. And so I think that's what the next cycle is about. That's what the guides are saying. It's about creating abundance. And it's a new type of abundance. It's also about a shift in your perspective about what abundance means and how to hold on to abundance. The guides say you know what they're talking about, how to hold on to abundance. Does that make sense to you? So that it doesn't just come and go, that it's becomes something that's lasting. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no strings attached. We only want things that come to us freely. That's why even in relationships, like if someone has said to me, I'm leaving, I've always just said, okay, bye. Because ultimately you don't want anybody in your life who doesn't want to be there, right? Mm-hmm. Whew. We only want things that come to us freely. Okay, let's see. Alice in Wonderland. May I have a card surrounding my life's purpose? Did I pick the right project to lead me there? That's a big, juicy question for Allison. To me, Allison, this says yes. This is the love card, the love affirmation, and it says, I am an unconditional co-creator who gives and receives love effortlessly, and I do this in infinite ways, including... So I think if I pull a card for you from this deck, I think you should journal and finish the sentence. So finishing the sentence on this one, right, would look like, where do you receive love infinitely, Allison? How are you receiving love infinitely? This isn't a card, let me listen. The guides are saying this isn't a card about like romantic love. They're actually talking about self-love with you. And healing. These are old wounds they're talking about. Being really gentle and kind with yourself. So your question is, did I pick the right project to lead me there? If it's going to lead you, this is what the guides are saying, if it's going to lead you to a deeper state of self-love and appreciation, then yes. And they're saying that it does. Is that true? That should be your guiding light from this point, I think, through the end of the year. Is it bringing me closer to a deeper relationship with myself? One that's honest and loving and compassionate. So if the answer is yes, then you did the right thing. It's nice to have a clarifying criterion, isn't it? Like if it does A, B, and C, then it's the right choice. Okay. Where did Jess go? Hold on. Okay, there's Jess. Jess says, could I please have a reading today? I could really use something to focus on moving forward. I think that's exactly what these cards are. At least to me, like these affirmations are just like juicy little tidbits to hold on to this week while the moon is full and we have some guidance, right? So Jess. The powerful card. So here's your journal question, Jess. I am a powerful co-creator who succeeds in all that I do each day including. So what do you do each day that you are successful at? Feels like a good place to begin. It's interesting to me because what they're talking about reminds me of the way I coach people, or used to coach people when I used to do private coaching, which I did for a lot of years. I was a corporate consultant, and so I was paid to coach people, mostly executives. And the number one thing I used to tell people is, I would go into companies and I would talk to executives and try to help them improve their performance or their team's performance. And I would come in and they would say, well, we're trying to improve this and we're trying to improve that. And I would say, well, what do you already do that you do well? And they would say, oh, well, we do these things well, but we're really trying to improve this other thing. And I think that's good, but a lot of times people don't focus on what they're good at, Allison, right? Or Jess, I should say. The energy was still with Allison there for a second. So, what are you good at? What are you successful at that you can actually put more energy into what you're already successful at and try to grow that, they're saying, versus spending so much time trying to sort out or fix what isn't working. I see this a lot. Every day I have an opportunity to either focus on what gives me joy and brings me energy and fulfills me and what I'm good at and I is brings life, or I can focus on what I'm not good at and what isn't working and what's not right and spend all my energy there. So under this full moon, yeah, Jess said that's where I struggle to take notice. So, and I think we're all really good. Like, I'm sure if I asked you to give me a list of 3 things that you're really terrible at, I'm sure you could instantly produce that list. If I ask you to give me 3 things that you're good at, you probably would struggle. And not just you, Jess, but like everybody. Everybody's good at saying, oh, well, I'm terrible at these 3 things. And then when I say, yeah, but what are you good at? People are like, well, I'm kind of good at cooking, or whatever. Like, they struggle with that. So focusing more on your gifts and less on your challenges, Jess, is where you need to do what you need to do. There's a balance there, but a lot of times, Heidi Cruz, so I do think it's worth putting energy in figuring out what your challenge areas are and spending time there. But when it comes to our soul path and our soul purpose, your soul purpose, I promise you, both as a coach and as a professor and as a spiritual teacher, I promise you, your soul purpose is not linked to something. I can almost promise you. I shouldn't ever say anything absolutely. Your soul path is usually not linked to something that you hate doing or you're bad at. Usually your soul purpose is linked to something that's a natural gift for you. But we're like conditioned and trained to focus on, well, I could get better at this, or I could lose weight, or I could, focus more, or I could work harder, or I could, and it's like, okay, but where you are now, what's working about that? And how do we create more appreciation of, celebration of, expansion of that, rather than constantly looking at, well, I'm not doing this, and I can't do that, and, And then because that cultivates self-esteem, and I think that's one of the most important things we can do right now. I'm sure you've got challenge areas. I do too. There's 100 things I could get better at. But it's like, where are you putting your attention? Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, Space Daisy. If called, an affirmation would be cool. In other words, I'd like a card, please. I love it. For Daisy, Daisy, Daisy. Interesting card. It's the Respond card. I respond to all situations, circumstances, events, and people with unconditional love, integrity, and excitement, including. So what do you respond to with unconditional love, integrity, and excitement? That's an interesting one, isn't it, Daisy? So, Spirit guides are saying something interesting. They're saying, think of it less as respond and more as outcome. For every action, there is an outcome. There is a consequence. This is what the guides are saying for you, Daisy. And so think not just about what you do, but what is going to unfold from what you do or what you create. And if your actions are mindful and intentional, then what they create will also be intentional and full of integrity. Let the actions follow the thoughts. Interesting. Pretty deep. You know, when you think about it, like, we do things and the universe reacts, right? The universe responds. It either affirms what we did or it challenges what we did in some way. But I like that concept, that instead of thinking about it as response, we think about it as outcomes, right? Everything you do every action has a consequence, a reaction, right? There's always a response from the universe. Mm-hmm. Hi, Raquel Connor. Thank you for letting me know. Yeah, if you have a handle that's not your name, make sure that you give me your name, because your name has big energy, and so when I call your name, it calls you into present time, and that's important. Okay, let me see. Madison Lawrence, I could use an affirmation card to help guide me. Let's get in there. Hi, Madison. Madison. I like this card, especially for an Aries full moon. Aries full moon is all about action and immediacy, right? Like now. I put the power of now into action, and each day in all that I do. Now. Madison is a beautiful name, isn't it? Whew. What are you waiting for? The spirit guides are asking. What are you waiting for? They say you're waiting for something. Not under this Aries full moon. Are there obstacles? If it feels like there are obstacles, I think some of them are perceived. You know? When you find yourself waiting, you always have to ask yourself why. Time is a human construct. In the spirit world, there is no time. In fact, as soon as you leave the third and fourth dimensions, there is no time. That's why you think, well, you lost someone. Oh, they've been gone for 30 years. They don't know that. In the spirit world, there is no time. We've made up time. We've made up that there's 60 minutes in an hour, and that there's 24 hours in a day, and there's 7 days in a week. It's so cute what we've done, right? And so the question is, what are you waiting for? Because there is no time other than the present. There's no better time. There's no easier time. Have we noticed that? It's like you might as well just do it now. That's right. The guides are saying this card is an answer to a question that you have had about when. Does it make sense to you? I'm such a double fire sign. Like, I want to do everything yesterday. It drives Dave nuts. I'll say, oh, we could, get new cushions for that outdoor, we have a dining room table outside and all the cushions are old. They were here long before we moved into this house, before we bought this house. And he's always like, yeah, maybe we should get some new cushions. And I'm always like, today? And he's always like, no, like eventually, not right there. Because I'm always like, now? So poor Dave has learned that, for me, like one day is now and tomorrow is now and yesterday is now. Like, I always want to do things now. Are you like that too, Tanya? Poor Dave, he's always like, Jesus, you wear me out. Okay, let's see what's coming in for Cecilia. She says she's been feeling lost. Keep in mind it's the time, that's what's going on right now. I don't know anybody who doesn't feel a little lost. So try not to take it personally. Cecilia, Cecilia, Cecilia. Aries, full moon. This Aries full moon is like having somebody just kick you in the behind with a shoe on. Go, 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 do, do, do. Now, now, now. Do, do, do. It says, I take action each day toward my heart's desires, and I do this in many exciting ways, including. What would it look like to feel found? In theory, that's the antidote, right? If you're feeling lost, then the goal is to feel found. I always do that. Do you ever do that? Do you ever look at how you feel and ask yourself what the opposite of that is, and then what that would feel like? So if you say, well, I feel lonely. Okay. What would it feel like to feel, what's the opposite of lonely? Connected? Or I feel lost. Okay. So what's the opposite of lost? Found. So what would Cecilia feel like if she felt found? And answer that question. And take one step toward that. It's funny, I had posted something on Facebook. I honestly don't remember what it was, but it was a couple of weeks ago. I think it was about wearing a mask with COVID or something like that. And somebody commented on it. I honestly don't remember who it was, because I don't know if you guys are like this, but because I'm highly psychic, I can't hold on to things. So even though I have a really good memory, like I won't remember this reading that I'm doing for you, because I can't hold it. There's too much, you know what I mean? So I kind of like, I do a reading and then I move on. So if you were to ask me last week or next week what card I pulled for you today, I wouldn't be holding that, because it's just like I don't have enough room in my cauldron. So I don't remember who said this, but somebody said, well, you don't need to wear a mask, basically, because, if you believe in magic, then you don't need a mask, more or less. You know what I mean? You can't have it both ways, is what the person said. You either believe in magic or you wear a mask. And the reason I'm mentioning that to you is I actually really disagree. When I disagree with something on Facebook, I don't talk about it on Facebook because I think it's a waste of time. I've never actually seen somebody change somebody else's mind on Facebook. I've seen people convince people of things, but I haven't seen them do it in social media, so I don't waste my time. If somebody expresses an opinion that's different than mine, I just move on. So if you ever wonder, like, why doesn't she, respond or, get into it with that person, it's like there's no point in that. But it did make me think that how differently I feel than this person, because I disagree. I actually think that the universe rewards people who take action, rather than people who just sit there and go, eventually it will all come to me. I will just sit here on my behind and wait for it. You know what I mean? Or, oh, I feel lost. Hope I feel found one day. Rather than going, I feel lost. And so what I'm going to do about that is I'm going to take these 3 steps. And then I feel like when we take those steps, my grandmother used to say, God helps those who help themselves. So I wear a mask. Do I believe in magic? I sure do. But I also believe in masks and science. So I'm saying all this to you because I do believe that if you just sit and wait for things to change or happen, eventually they will, right? Energy's real. But I think it'll happen faster if you take a step, Cecilia. So I want you to define what being found would feel like or look like for you. And then I want you to take one step toward that. Feeling found would feel like And I'm making this up, right? But like being organized, having more people in my life, launching something new that you want to do, writing a book or whatever, that would feel like feeling found. And then I want you to take one conscious, active step toward it, because what I have found is the universe will meet you there. Otherwise, what happens to people is they say, I feel lost today, September 30th. And then October 30th, I talk to them and they go, I feel lost. And then November 30th, I talk to them and they go, I still feel lost. And it's like, okay, so what are you doing about it? In addition to setting intentions, in addition to working with affirmations, in addition to looking at power words, right? So she said, I started a book club this morning. That's an excellent first step. And so continuing to put energy toward that, imagining, so what I do at the full moon is I imagine whatever I'm working on. So like, let's talk about that. So you're planning on writing a book and you're launching this book club, which feels really good, by the way, the energy around it. So what I like to do at the full moon is imagine everything that I'm creating and imagine it actually being within the light of the moon itself. So you can gaze at the moon and do this. You can visualize the moon in your mind and place everything that you're doing within that sphere of light. And imagine that light just completely reflecting off of those things that you're doing, holding it within that sphere of light. Because the moon's light is magical. It expands, it multiplies, it manifests, it does all of those things. And those are your steps toward being found, right? Or whatever the opposite is of what you're trying to do. So I think Cecilia actually opened that door for a lot of you, because I think a lot of it is, and a lot of us right now are like, well, but it's a pandemic, or well, it's a quarantine. And it's like, no, this is still your life. The world is still spinning and turning. You're still manifesting, right, through your energetic field. So, yeah. I like it. Angelia said, I'm trying my hardest to get noticed in a positive way. Everything I do, be found and feel my spirit guides more. I love that. And I'll tell you something, all of you guys are worthy of being found and noticed and recognized and expanding and becoming. It's not anything you have to earn. It's not something that you have to hope for. It's already your birthright. So then the question becomes, so how are you going to do it? What will it look like, right? Yeah. Okay. I'm glad that resonated and made sense. You can do both. You can set intentions and still take a conscious step toward your goals. If I hadn't taken a conscious step toward SG, I wouldn't be sitting here with you right now. Is there magic involved? Sure. Is there also hard work and doing stuff involved? Yes. All right, Rochelle's there. She said, I've been going through a huge transformation. I'm so excited for you. I love it. I would love a card for affirmation and guidance. Let's see what's going on with you, Rochelle. It's nice to be in your field today. Rochelle. That Aries full moon is going to be relentless, isn't she? She's going to kick our booties right into some serious action. I put the power of now into action each day in all that I do, including. There will never be another September 29th, 2020. September 30th, 2020. There will never be another one. This is it. If that doesn't make you want to get out of bed and shake your tail feathers, right? The spirit guides are talking. They're saying that that you are following the guidance well, and that you've been asked to. It almost is an expansion of what you're already doing. It feels like just what you've been doing but bigger. Is that true? It doesn't feel like a full 180 or anything radically different, but it feels like an expansion of work you've already been doing. And this is good. Once this pandemic period is over, I feel like you're either going to be building something. Looks like a physical space. Are you building? Could be remodeling, but it looks like building something, a new space or could be a new part of your home even. But it does feel like new construction. It doesn't feel like right now, but whatever this transformation is, I feel like you're going to need a new space for it. And so just start setting the intention about, what, where, how, what you need to manifest that. It feels really good. Is it like a healing space or a healing? I almost want to say center, but they're saying that's not the right word. It's almost like you're building onto a space or something like that. It feels good. It really does. Okay, good. Well, you'll have the space you need. Yeah, you'll have the space you need. It's like all the preparations are being made. Feels really, really nice. I'm happy for you. Because you're so local to me, maybe I'll get to benefit from it. All right, Melissa Elgin, she said, guidance from my guides on how to continue on my path of authenticity. Melissa. Strength. Why are they talking about strength? You have to be strong. That card almost jumped out of the deck. We get it. Let me ask for a clarifying card, because I feel like we understand timing. I'm going to take the now card out of the deck just because it's obviously we all need to do things now. But a little clarification here from Melissa on how to follow her authentic path. If it wasn't so cheesy, I would love to teach a class on abundance. But I think it's too cheesy. I don't want to be one of those people on Facebook who's like, follow my law of attraction program. I'm not into that. But I will tell you what the guides are saying for you, Melissa. Abundance is already there. It's a matter of A, trusting that that's true, B, believing that you're worthy of it, and C, magnetizing it to you. And keeping in mind that abundance looks different for everybody. Like what I think of as abundance may not be what you think of as abundance. For some people, the only kind of abundance they want is time and space. They just want more time and a little bit of space to breathe, to create, to be. And for a lot of people, that's abundance. For some people, the only kind of abundance they can think of is health. They just want an abundance of health. Your guides are saying, Melissa, you need to define what abundance means to you. Have you ever done that? Have you ever sat down with your journal? I think it was Amy who was asking for a journal prompt today. How do you define abundance? Knowing that it's relative. What does it look like? So if I waved a magic wand for Melissa today, and you had all the abundance that you want, what would change about your life? You got to define your terms. And they're saying you got to do it now. That may seem like a silly, silly thing until you sit down to do it. Try it today. Abundance means to me, and then a colon. Seriously, if I could wave a magic wand and every kind of abundance that you would want is right on your doorstep. that look like? Okay, Brittany James, Aries full moon guidance. My mind has been cluttered with so much lately. I could use some clarity. She dreamt of the Ten of Swords. Well, that's a card and a half to dream about. I always pull the Queen of Swords. I'm always looking for truth. That's my Sag moon. Brittany, Brittany, Brittany. I am officially going to take this out of the deck. You got the Now card. Let's also ask for a clarifying card. Clarifying card for Brittany, Brittany, Brittany. Desire. Desire is the difference between a life well lived and a life squandered. Because desire is the gasoline in your tank. Have you ever thought about that? Have you ever met people who really don't desire anything? They don't desire love or health or comforts or anything. I personally cannot operate without desire and passion. It's fuel in my tank. So what the spirit guides are saying for you, Brittany, is, and it says, I live a life of desire, passion, and joy, and this is brought to my attention in many ways, including. So how does life bring desire to your attention? Remember what your desires are. That's what my spirit guides are telling me to tell you, Brittany. And this isn't just for you. I think, again, like some of you, like Cecilia, I think you ask for a card and it opens a door that, others can walk through too. So thank you for that, because I think this is an important one for probably a few people who are here. What do you desire? And have you defined it? And how do you know? How does desire reveal itself to you? Is it, because your spirit guides speak to you in desire. And your desire is planted within you so that you will pursue it. Because on the path to pursuing your desires, you end up encountering everything else. Right? So ask yourself, what do I want? And pursue it. And then ask yourself again, so what else do I want? And pursue that. Trusting that those desires are coming to you for a reason, right? Oh, I see you, Judith Walters. She said, I'm out of gas since my son died. That will empty your tank. And then it becomes a process, Judith. I haven't walked your path, right? Came close to it, but I have not walked your path. But I will tell you that, that is the process of rebuilding, is to reclaim those desires. And grief and desire are oftentimes kind of conflicting states of being, conflicting energies. And a lot of times when we're in a state of grief, it's hard to find desire, because it's like, grief is over here and desire is over here, and it can seem like it's miles between them, right? But sometimes the process of healing from grief is actually to determine what those desires are. And your desires can change, and sometimes they're dictated, right? They shift based on the experiences in your life too. Same thing with divorce. Divorce can make it really hard to articulate what you desire too. All right, Corinne Cowling, she said, Athena needs some tweaking on emotional level, desperately needing some wisdom. It hurts so much. Let's see what's going on there, sweetheart. Corinne. You know how this goes in Soul Shift, right? It's like I pull a card, and then the next person that I call on has the same energy. That's why I get pulled to you, right? Desire. Same card for Corinne. I think there's meat on this bone for quite a few of you. Because it's a different question than what do I need? It's a different question than what do I love? it's a different question than what do I lack, right? Because we're often focused on, well, I don't have this, and I can't have that, and I don't have this, and I can't have that. I talked about that during my live today. So turning your attention instead to what you desire, Corinne, will shift your emotional state. That's what the guides are saying. Does it feel indulgent to you? Maybe not relevant? And yet it is. There's a lot of wisdom in your desire. And I'm not talking about like physical sexual desire. I'm talking about like what you deeply want to experience, have, create in this life. And as we get older, sometimes it's like a bullhorn, you know, because as we get older, it's like some of the things that we desire to create, we don't have all the time in the world to do it. So the universe has to start kind of pushing on us a little bit, you know? What do you desire? No, it's not indulgent though. Right? Yeah. Yeah. I completely understand and I see you. Ooh. Lola Bunny, my heart space is clouded with grief right now, so I'm struggling to see the light. I need to be following anything for me. Hi, Lola Bunny. Lola, Lola, Lola. This is the other one that changes everything. But it's hard to do. Because when we're sad and when we're grieving, the last thing we want to do is say thank you. I mean, at least for me, when I'm really sad and I'm really grieving, it's really hard to go, oh yeah, and in the meantime, thank you for, right? It is kind of the secret to it all. This grief has been a teacher, Corinne. Do you see that? It's one thing to be grateful for. It's been teaching you. This is interesting. I'm going to ask you what they're asking, and hopefully it makes sense to you. Are there people in your life who are trying to reach out to you and you're doing this? There are some people in your life who want to help you, and it's important for you to let them in. I do it too sometimes, so I'm not judging you at all. Like when I'm really struggling, I tend to do that. Is that what's happening? You know, you will be amazed, the guides are saying it, what happens if you just open your heart to that person that you're doing this with, because there's medicine in your resistance to him. But as soon as you open that door, that's part of a transformation. Yeah. Whew. I love that. Lisa Cunningham says, I'm going to take a chance here and put it out there to pull for me, as my energy is not in a lost, unsure, or lonely place. I'm operating with a high vibration right now. Card for me. Yeah, I don't just read if you're having a hard time. I think it's great to read when you're vibing high. And then maybe by reading for you, I open that door to that frequency to come through for other people. It's interesting. Mm-hmm. Lisa, Lisa, Lisa. Feel. I feel my way through the many situations, circumstances, and events that form my life, including. I like it. So, this is for Lisa Cunningham. So, they're wanting me to tell you, and I don't know what this is for either, so I'm just going to give these messages to you. They want you to write this down. Write down a description of how you're feeling at this time. I don't know why they're saying this. As many adjectives as you can to describe it. Notice they're saying whether the different feelings that you're experiencing right now at this high vibrational level, whether they have color rays attached to them. So that maybe you, because I feel like at some point you're going to create, let me listen for a second. It's hard to know what they're showing me. It almost looks like an oracle deck, or like it looks like charts that they're asking you to make, where it's like, here's the feeling, here's the color. Do you read auras? Do you read colors? Or here's the feeling, here's the color, here's the feeling, here's the color. And it's almost like a chart or oracle cards. It looks like oracle cards to me. Okay, did you do it for too long? Okay, well, I don't know. So what I'm seeing are cards like this, and they have like a color wash on the back. You don't have to make this. I'm just telling you what they're showing me, okay? So, like this would be like a light red, dark red, medium red. Light brown, dark brown, medium brown on this side. And so someone would look at the cards, choose a card based on the colors, their connection to the colors, and then on the other side would be the message, the frequency of that color and your description of it. Does that make sense to you? And if you create something like that from this vibrational place, it can actually be a really powerful tool for people. And again, I don't know if that's something that you would be teaching or that you would be consulting with people or reading for people, but they're showing me all of these different cards or charts with all these colors and how they align to the different emotions and frequencies, and that people could then say, okay, well, that's the energy. So you could pull a card for them, or they could pull a card for themselves for an aspirational feeling. So I want to feel this color, which is alignment or whatever. Or they could choose a card for how this is the energy that's around you. It's like, oh, the energy around me is love, and it's a pink card or whatever, right? It's very interesting. I would love to see you do it. I would buy it. I don't have time to make any more oracle cards, so if you could just do that, that would be great. Go do that. I think so too. Feels like a teaching of some kind. That's right. Oh yeah. Okay. Now it is 3:30 and I do have to scoot because we've been together for an hour. That, I'm going to say, is one of the fastest hours of readings I've experienced in a long time. I thought maybe half an hour had gone by. Then I saw Alexis's comment and I'm like, seriously? It's really been an hour. So I'm going to pull a card for the collective. For Soul Shift, Soul Shift, Soul Shift, a card to guide our final week of September. Work together. A card to guide all of us as we head toward this Aries full moon tomorrow. For everyone who's here now. I know, it's nuts. That was really fast. Sometimes the hour goes by fast. Sometimes it goes by really slow. For Soul Shift, Soul Shift, Soul Shift. do you want? I remember one time, it was before I started Sage Goddess. I'll leave you with this. I do remember one time someone asking me what I wanted. And I want to say this is when the kids were babies, you know? Right? Because when I started Sage Goddess, Sage Goddess is 9, and they're 11 and 13. So they were like 2 and 4 when I started Sage Goddess. So they were probably babies, like 6 months and 2 years, something like that. And I remember someone asking me what I wanted. And at the time, I burst into tears. It was such a loaded question for me. Because I felt like I wasn't there to have any desires. You know, I was there to nurse 2 babies and, you know, earn a paycheck and be a wife and a daughter and, you know what I mean? But I didn't think about myself at all, or what I wanted, because I just didn't think it was relevant. And I remember just bursting into tears and being like, who even cares what I want? And I think that was the beginning of the shift. I have changed a lot. Now if you were to ask me what I want, I'm like, wee! But what I came to learn is it's not selfish, you know? Having desires doesn't mean I'm not a good mom. Having desires doesn't mean I'm not a good wife. Having desires doesn't mean I'm not a good employer or employee, you know? If I disappear and I feel like I'm not worthy of having desires, that doesn't make anybody's life better, because you're here to have desires. When you fulfill your desires, you make the world a better place for me and for all of us, because whatever you're here to do is ultimately on some level a service to other people. So if you don't fulfill your desires, then the rest of us kind of don't get what we need too, right? So I really want you to, if you're willing, I really want you to ask yourself what you desire. I would love to see us, like maybe Alexis can put a post up in our Facebook group where we talk about desire. What do you want? And if it helps to articulate it, I mean, this is a great time to do it, is the full moon. Because there's just, again, you can imagine putting your desires inside of that, you know. Oh, I can't lift this up to show you, but I have these lights, right? And this always reminds me of the full moon. Like, it's like putting your desires in there and illuminating them. You know, what do you want? If you post it in the group, then we can all put energy toward it, right? And help to fuel those desires. But you need to articulate them. And there's no time like the present, because this Aries full moon is going to just underline, underscore, highlight, expand, illuminate. So, I want to thank you for being here today. I want to thank my spirit guides for helping me to be a good, clear, and open channel. I want to ask that additional information that comes through to you is easily understood and integrated, and as always in service and alignment with your highest possible good and the good of everyone around you too. Thank you guys so much for being there today. I really appreciate you. Look like my chat stopped for a minute. There we go. I'm refreshing. Okay. All right. So I will see you at 4 p.m. for class. Again, this was the Power Igniter affirmation deck. I like it because I kind of like that he doesn't finish the sentences for you. It encourages you to stay in a state of contemplation and answer some of these questions for yourself that I think are so juicy. So I will look forward to seeing you in just about half an hour for session 4 of September and perfume crafting. I'll see you soon.